Pro Group Management. Workers' comp that works for you.
Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers. On the broadcast today, Dr. Robin Titus joins us. She's the State Senate Minority Leader, here for the whole show on an all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
Like a traditional handmade basket, retail is woven into the fabric of life in Nevada. From big box to mom and pop, retail supports our communities in countless ways. Jobs for the disabled, team uniforms for kids, help for the elderly, and so much more. Retail employs over 1 in 10 workers. Retail supports Nevada, and we support retail.
RANNV.org.
One night, 2 incredible bands. Lit. Fuel. Ignited We Stand Tour 2025. Friday, August 22nd, TJ's Corral at the Carson Valley Inn. Get tickets now at carsonvalleyinn.com. Don't miss Lit and Fuel together live.
A power line is more than a power line. It's maintaining the bottom line for small businesses. It's keeping the assembly line moving for our workforce. For our brightest minds, it's meeting a deadline. It's on the front line with our heroes. And on the sidelines of the biggest games. It's a direct line to our loved ones. And it's a lifeline for the most vulnerable. There's a lot on the line.
Meet Nevada Health Link, Nevada's official health insurance marketplace. Your link to savings, selection, free assistance, and name brand health insurance, where 90% of enrollees lower the cost of their monthly premium. Everyone deserves access to quality health coverage, no matter your income or family size. Visit NevadaHealthLink.com. A few minutes could save you hundreds of dollars per month.
Nevada Health Link. Our plans are made for your plans.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad, a no-holds-barred political forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we're always pleased to welcome back to the program Dr. Robin Titus. She is the State Senate Minority Leader, represents District 17, and thank you for coming in as always. You have IFC today, and so you got up at 4 o'clock in the morning to drive in from Wellington.
Well, it's always a pleasure, Sam. Always willing to do that. But before we start this show, I have to just give a shout out to the Little League World Series that's starting today. And we have a Nevada team there from Summerlin that's playing here in a couple hours. I think that's big news for your watchers to make sure that we support our kids throughout the state. So.
Okay, and we're taping this morning of August 13th, so people know. All right, well, I'm glad we got the important stuff out of the way. Let's get to the less important stuff. So this week, the Speaker and the Majority Leader both decided that they were not going to run for election. Your thoughts on how they ran the last session and your thoughts on the replacement?
A couple things. We do have term limits in Nevada. Some say, well, it's good, some say it's bad. But one of the things I see as bad is the institutional knowledge of how the whole process goes and the respect for the institution itself. I'm still honored to be in that building, in the legislative building, and represent the state. They could do 12 years on either side, the Assembly and the Senate. Frequently, people look at it as a stepping stone to yet another office. I don't blame anybody for leaving, though. As we've said on the show in the past, we only get paid the first 60 days that we're there every other year, but we serve this in the seat for the whole 2 years. And it's tough. It's tough for folks if you want to if you don't have another outside income. It's tough if you have to come up here from Las Vegas. And so I don't blame anybody for saying, hey, it doesn't work for me. But it's more than just the Speaker and the Majority Leader. Monroe Moreno also announced she's running for North Las Vegas.
Right.
And so I think they're going to see some major changes, especially in the Assembly. And I worry about that institutional knowledge and that understanding of the process, understanding of negotiation, understanding of those bonds that people have made. I'm going to tell you, I'm pretty excited. I had dinner last night with, I'm a proud CCW holder, And the range master that teaches CCW classes on my property in Smith Valley is retired lieutenant colonel from the Air Force. And I told him, I said, hey, the good news is our Second Amendments are probably a little safer now because Howdigi's not going to run again. Because every year she puts in these atrocious restrictions on our Second Amendment, and the governor vetoes them. To her credit, I understand why she's doing that. She was there at the October 1st festival and I will have to bear that memory forever. So she has wanted to do things to help that prevent that from ever happening, but none of the bills she has ever introduced would have stopped that from happening. So again, things will change.
She's going to be on the program in a couple of days here, and so she'll get a chance to respond to that. But also, it's interesting, both you and she, for your respective parties, are involved in rebuilding the image of the party. And I think it's a fascinating time when so much of the population, including here in Nevada, is moving away from the two parties and taking an independent stand.
Well, yeah, I think that's critical. I mean, and also she and I put bills in together. We put a nursing, funding a nurse apprentice program in. We looked at bills, and so we've always worked together. So just to put that credit out, the Second Amendment thing we'll never agree on, but we have worked together. And to that point is 1/3 of our population in the state of Nevada are nonpartisans. They're the largest political party. Our Secretary of State released some data just a couple days ago on the current registration of voters. D's are ahead of the R's right now, but only by a couple thousand, but maybe less than 1%. What's really shocking, and I'm sure your viewers will go, whoa, is a number of nonpartisans. We in Nevada have to understand the majority of people in our state are saying, well, wait a minute here. I'm not really an R. I'm not really a D. I'm a Nevadan, and let's look at that. And I think most of my issues, that's exactly where we are. And I would say Sandra feels the same way. We'll see what she runs for next.
Well, I have a feeling that she's not going to be running for something right away. But you know, this brings up a whole idea of messaging and what is the message you get out there. You know, you have a president who is probably, I don't even think probably, the finest marketer that we've ever seen in the presidential office. But how does that carry on into Nevada and other states where you can pick up that mantle and run with it? I mean, you do have Dana White from UFC, who is very close to the president. But I mean, seriously, how do you run with that message if you run with that message?
Well, there's only one Trump. And I think we see candidates that either want to run against Trump, and then we have candidates that want to, I'm a Trump person. But there's only one Donald Trump. And I think I tell candidates, you have to run who you are. You can't be him. You have to run what you see. You have to be passionate. You have to show up to voters. And one of our fears this next election cycle, the people that showed up, those low propensity voters that showed up last time for Trump, he won Nevada for the first time, will not show up this time. And so for me as minority leader, trying to get into the majority, trying to make sure that people stay in and vote down ticket, it's that you have to stay engaged. I think local politics, you have more control. State makes a difference. You know, they get into Congress and they get into the Senate and in Washington State, they kind of get bogged down. We pass laws during those 120 days that affect every Nevada citizen. And I think that people need to realize it's so important to stay there and vote for people that affect you every day with the laws that we pass.
One of the most important things I would think that's on your mind is the main person you've got running is the governor, because you don't have a Senate race, which will bring in tens of millions of dollars into the state this time around. You don't have a presidential race. So this becomes even more important for that 30-second message. If that's what we're going ahead with into the next election cycle, or has everything changed so much that 30-second messages are not the way we're going in the future?
It's hard to tell where we're going to go in the future. Who can really predict that? We can
AI, apparently. Not necessarily correctly.
AI is appropriate. I mean, I'm not afraid of that. Any of us who grew up watching 2001 Space Odyssey, however, are going to go, whoa, what about that AI? I don't know. But I think we need to embrace new technologies. We need to make sure that we understand it. We need to understand how we use it. In healthcare, there are multiple bills out there about, is AI going to interpret your healthcare data, and then when you call for your lab results, you'll have some AI messenger saying, well, listen, this is what this looks like. I have no problem with that as long at the time of the disclosure it says, listen, this is AI generated. You should call your healthcare professional if you want more information.
Can I
Go ahead.
jump in there? We had an incident just recently with a family member where we had done a test. We were maybe 10 minutes from the hospital going home, and suddenly the doctor called and said, I want to check on these various things because I've gotten the results back. This was within 10 minutes from the AI, and I want to make sure that the person we're dealing with is okay. The person was okay, and a radiologist would have looked at the results a little bit later. There was no more panic or concern after that. But the mere fact that AI in some form looked at the results, relayed that within minutes to the doctor responded, but it was a false positive, as it were. So I think that, and that aligns for me with just about everything connected to AI right now, which is it's a tool, it's a great tool, but that's all it is, and that we should use our own judgment. And the idea of putting forward, yes, this was generated by AI. We've got to make it so that everybody understands what you just said, which is it's generated by AI. It may not be 100%.
Right, but that, and I agree with you 100% on that. The reality is that communication, it's only as good as the information you put into it. Like the computers when we first started. So, for example, as you well know, I'm a physician, spent hundreds, maybe thousands of hours in emergency room, taught many students and many residents. And I would always say, so we generate a lab test. We have an EKG. We run an EKG on somebody, and they're bradycardic. It means their heart's very slow. But the patient looks great. So you can't look at what that machine created. Take a look at the patient. If the patient's sitting there breathing, talking to you, don't call a code. So those are things that you're taught to be objective, and you're taught to still use your brain. No computer is going to be able to, in my mind, sense what that patient looks like. And I think that's with any data. You have to respect it. But again, you have to understand. I think for patients and for people, making sure they know this was a AI-generated report because, hey, the BUN or the blood urea nitrogen was too high, and oh my gosh, you're in renal failure, and you got a call. The good thing, where everything worked just then, Sam, was that the physician, and that's the key component, the human component said, wait a minute here, I need to see you, and let's see if this is real or not. And I try to teach that with, say, a PA, physician assistant, nurse practitioner, and again, the students. Look at the patients. You can't just follow a flow chart. You have to actually look at and have that human interaction too.
So that brings me back to the political side, which is, how in your conversations, how do you distribute the message? If you want to get to people 50 plus, 60 plus, then we know where they are because you've only got to watch a program and see all the medical commercials that are in there to know that that's the audience that they are trying to reach. But there are so many places now. It's split up into so many directions. Right. Where do you go?
Targeting. You do targeted.
Right.
You do targeted advertising and target messaging.
Okay, but how do you do that? Yeah. That's the question.
What you do is you do surveys. You reach out to folks. So what's your top 10 issues?
But do you trust that?
Well, here's the deal.
Do you ever answer the phone and go, okay, I'll take this survey?
I do. I'll take it from my husband.
Really?
I love to answer them.
Okay.
I do answer
So
them.
you're the one. Okay.
I do love him. He'll say, oh, God, I can't stand this. Well, let me talk to him. So it's kind of fun because it'll say political ad. So I rarely do. So you think about the end number, how many people did they all, what was their survey number? Is it really valid? And in healthcare, I hate to keep coming back to that, but that's my real. Of
course.
To my world. If you did a study and you had only 10 people in it, it's mostly anecdotal. You know, it's when you have a study of 10,000 people across the spectrum, then you can kind of trust that. So you learn that. However, what we're doing in our world, and I'm sure the Ds are doing it too, and that's how the advertisers do it, right? You do a survey. What's your top 10 issues, and we're actually going to break that down to the Senate districts, because what plays well in my rural 6 counties that I represent is not necessarily what plays the most important into the Clark County area. And so I think it's critical that we focus that and target a message. And in your world that you do on TV, they already do that, right? Who's your viewers, and get a handle for that. And so we have to be smarter about that.
Yes, we do. The problem is that we're just increasing the amount of money needed to reach out to all these different people and make sure that we're going in the right direction.
Yeah.
It's kind of if you look at the last cycle, it was kind of a free-for-all.
Yeah, I don't think it really has to necessarily be more money spent. It needs to be more better targets. And I would say what we did focus, because, you know, limited funding, we have to who are we going to reach? What's that buy-in? What's a potential voter? There were candidates last session, Sam, that sent out flyers, campaign flyers, to 4 out of 4 voters. I was getting campaign flyers. I vote every primary, special, whatever. I'm voting. I don't need to get a flyer in the general election from a Republican. I'm going to go vote. That's a waste of money. Well, the people who make money on that are the advertisers, the printers, the consultants, because they take a percent. We are really focused on making sure it's that low propensity voter. How do you reach them? Do you need to knock on those doors? You don't need to knock on the door of somebody who's going to vote no matter what. Make sure you knock on the door of somebody who voted for Trump, or we don't know that they voted for Trump. Let's say they voted in the last election. Make sure you get to that voter. Make sure you stay that voter engaged. And I think it's just being smarter about who you reach out to. And again, just that targeted message. And it's doable. So it's easier than you think. We have that data. Do you shop at Cabela's? What do you think? How do you think they're going to feel about the Second Amendment, right? Are you a Cabela's shopper? Or where do you shop? What do you do? Are you and so those are critical things. And that data is not that hard to get.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. We have much more with Dr. Robin Titus after this timeout.
Welcome to Story County, where history meets innovation and a pioneering spirit continues to shape our future. At the heart of the Tahoe Reno Industrial Center, we power the future with global leaders in technology and manufacturing, driving progress that reaches far beyond our county lines. From advanced manufacturing to tech innovation, our industries are creating thousands of quality careers, fueling a vibrant economy that benefits every Nevadan. Our community is our foundation. Be part of a legacy built on bold ideas and boundless possibilities. Story County, helping build Nevada's future.
Save money and take transit. Did you know you can ride the bus all day for less than what it would cost you for a gallon of gas? Plan your trip now by going to rtcwashoe.com.
It's a good time to eat. It's a good time to play.
It's a good time to win.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with the State Senate Minority Leader, Dr. Robin Titus. There's been talk of a special session. Are you in favor? Are you against it? And what would be the main topics of a special session if it were to happen?
Interesting that you asked that question. The first question I was asked after we sine-died on June 3rd was, do you think we'll need a special session? And I said then, and I'm going to say now, Absolutely not. I do not believe we need a special session. Now, certainly if there's a true emergency, the COVID, something that we have to address, some crisis that we can't predict, and the governor needed to call us back in a special session, absolutely, we would all be on board. We really worked hard I sit on the money committees, and as a matter of fact, I'm going, when I leave here today, to sit on what we call interim finance committee. They help pay the state's bills. We worked hard during the main session of finance to make sure that we covered, because we didn't know what was going to happen with the federal government, especially Medicaid. We do have a rainy day fund, and it may cover some things, and hopefully we don't need to go back in and have a special session to do that. I have heard talk, mostly from reporters, and the governor did mention it, about maybe a special session regarding this crime bill and the film tax bill. I would say that that's a mistake. I don't support that, although I'm also going to be flying down on Friday to meet with the governor and his team, and we'll look at what his needs are and what he believes would be the need for a special session. Hopefully we don't have one. I tell people all the time, the state does very well when we're not in session. As a matter of fact, I think the state is better off when we're not in session. We do not need 1,200 new bills every other year, new laws. I think, as Mark Twain was quoted as saying, although it wasn't his originally, that no citizen is safe while Congress is in session, and I still believe that. So I would prefer that we don't go back in session. But I'm certainly open to what the governor, if he calls a special session. There's a lot of misinformation about who can call and who can't call a special session. The state legislature could call a special session, but it would take 2/3 of the vote in both the Senate and the Assembly. So we could call a special session. The governor can also call a special session, but it has to be clearly what the subject matter will be.
Right.
And believe me, I've been involved in many special sessions, and they don't call them unless they already have the votes for them. You don't go there and then try to get the votes. So there's a lot of discussion that has to happen before the special session. And I'm open to see if there's a crisis enough that would require that. I don't see it yet, but I'm going to go listen to the governor.
All right, let's take another break and we'll be right back.
Welcome to the Ahern Boutique Hotel, where luxury and warmth come together in the heart of Las Vegas.
We take pride in offering a one-of-a-kind experience for both locals and tourists.
Join us for handcrafted cocktails and an unforgettable experience.
Joel's Chop House, the perfect place to savor views of the Las Vegas Strip.
Satisfy your cravings at the Ahern Chocolate Shop.
No smoking, no resort fees, and the parking is always free. The Ahern Luxury Boutique Hotel is your home away from home.
The trucking industry is the most resilient link in the supply chain, moving 95% of our freight in the Silver State. And while essential, the road isn't always smooth. Supply chain disruptions, rising fuel costs, and unrealistic rules and laws that hamper our ability to serve our customers and country. Our prosperity and every sector of the economy, manufacturing, mining, medicine, and food from farm to table, is tied to trucks. There's nothing without trucking.
You're in trouble with the law. It's easy to think you'll lose everything, but there is hope. I'm Attorney Orrin Johnson. Your first step is to hire a serious attorney with the experience to successfully navigate the legal system for you.
Sometimes hope means addiction treatment instead of jail, and making sure you're treated fairly.
Sometimes hope means fearless trial attorneys will stand up to the government when they get it wrong. Call or text Orrin Johnson Law.
We'll make a plan.
You'll take back your life.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with Dr. Robin Titus. She's the state Senate Minority Leader, a Republican from District 17. You know, one of the bills that surprised me that it didn't pass was the swipe fee bill. This would be for credit cards, where you would have lower swipe fees, and the state would have gotten a small piece of that, but there would have been so much money floating through the state because of that, that it would have been significant towards us not having to raise taxes for lots of different things. Why do you think that it never got there?
That was a very interesting bill. It was AB 400, I believe.
500.
500.
Yeah.
It was Speaker Yeager's bill. The Retail Association really pushed that bill. That was something they really wanted. I think it was, no other state has done that. The goal was to attract the companies like Amazon and those folks who could then have their own swipe card. The fees, the question was, would those fees that those three main credit cards are generating, would it get back to the consumer? And I was never convinced it was really beneficial for the consumer, as opposed to, was it going to be beneficial for the Amazons, the Walmarts, the major chains? He ran that bill 3 times. Every time he got a different vote. It was really pushed. We were told, and I believe it's true, that whoever supported that bill was going to get a lot of support this next election cycle. So there were paybacks on that bill. I reached out, when I first got that bill, I had met with the sponsors. And I reached out to the banking community, my small banks, the credit unions, all of those things to say, hey, is this really something that's going to help my constituents, rural Nevada? And I just felt that there was something way bigger in that. When it's too good to be true, it usually is. And the people making the money weren't going to be, and the beneficiaries were not going to be the citizens of this great state that we live in. And so we'll look at it. I'm sure it's coming back. We'll look at it with some better understanding. But sometimes it's okay. You know, we were. I know the head of the Retail Association accused the state legislators of not being willing to try new things. I'm willing to try new things, but not at the potential expense of my Nevada constituents.
And that's where we have to leave it. Again, thank you so much for getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning to be here to do this. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, Sam. It's a beautiful drive, and I never mind, so thank you very much for having me.
Thank you, and we'll be right back.
Each day, the Children's Advocacy Alliance partners with leaders, legislators, and families across Nevada to improve children's health, education, economic well-being, and safety. We recognize Nevada will be no better than the state of its children. Be a part of this change. Be a supporter of the Children's Advocacy Alliance. For more information, go to caanv.org.
Imagine a magical garden that feeds Carson City's hungry and homeless, teaches our high school students agriculture, creates hanging floral displays to beautify downtown, and yet charges nothing. It's not magic. It's the Greenhouse Project. It's real, it's growing, and it needs your help. Go online to carsоncitygreenhouse.org so together we can grow it forward.
The Nevada Builders Alliance has been protecting the interests of the construction industry for over 50 years. Our programs save members thousands of dollars every year and allow them to provide much-needed benefits to their employees. Our industry also allows Nevada to grow. If you're thinking about a career in the construction industry, reach out. And if you haven't thought of a career in construction, what are you waiting for? We are the Nevada Builders Alliance.
As you know, Reno is booming. Toll's development company is helping it grow with insightful design and development, building community with every project, adding beauty, adding excitement, emphasizing our shared humanity. Reno is becoming bigger. Toll's development is helping it become better, more livable, more enjoyable. To learn more, go to tollsdevelopment.com. tollsdevelopment.com. You can always watch Nevada Newsmakers 24 hours a day at NevadaNewsmakers.com. Thanks for watching and listening.